Test. There we go. Showing. That's right. Well, I kept the traditional opening, so you want to do the Pledge of Allegiance and prayer briefly?
Oh, sure. We can go ahead and do that if you'd like. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody like to say a prayer tonight?
I can lead that.
Go ahead.
I didn't prepare anything, but Heavenly Father, just thank you, God, for giving us the freedoms that we have in our country, and thank you for this city and the people who are here and working so hard around the clock. And we just thank you for the rains that you blessed our land with. Pray that you help us to use wise judgment as we work through this budget, the whole budget season this summer. Help us to be efficient and help us to be mindful of what you've given us. And I just pray for just continued wisdom and guidance. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
All right. See no citizens to make citizen comments.
There are no citizens in the audience right now, so we'll go ahead and move past that to the discussion and action item, which is a preliminary budget overview.
All right.
All right.
So feel free to interrupt me if you have questions or comments at any point. I'm going to do a brief overview. I've constructed a preliminary draft budget that's relatively balanced. And we'll go over that after we go through this quick timeline. We'll also go over the tax rates. We'll make sure to talk about both revenues and expenses. And there's a report in front of you too that has some key notes. So first off, we're in June, so we're on track. Workshop for strategic planning regarding goals, priorities, projects for fiscal year 2027. So those are some of the things towards the end, after we go through the overview of everything, to see what the top priorities, goals, and projects are for the coming year. Then after that, we'll get a draft with all those in there. But I'm not the one that should be making a decision of, one thing versus the other for goals. So, any questions so far?
So in June, do we have any other workshops planned?
Yes, right now we have one planned for the 22nd and the 23rd. Both at 6 p.m.
See if I have those on my calendar. Yeah, but I don't know, oh, I did. Mine are already in my calendar.
But those aren't showing up on that schedule right there, right?
That's right, those aren't on this, I can add those in.
Okay.
So we, I'll
So what are we gonna have, what are we gonna be looking at on the next two meetings in June?
You know, I can, given what we have, I guess it would have made sense to update it prior. I can change that July 2026 to June 22nd and 23rd.
Yeah.
So we'll have a working budget with
Okay.
your goals, priorities, and projects in it.
Great.
You know, and since we're doing it 2 days in a row, we may, turn this on, don't I? You know, you may want to divide it up for, you know, take the budget and look at we have 3 funds, and looking at how much we need to discuss on those, so that the meetings don't go so long, but because we're doing them back to back, the 2 meetings, that might be easier for people to focus on and really get in detail on some funds and then funds the next night.
I agree. That way the meetings are shorter,
Right.
which is not a big deal, but. you
It
know,
could
is-
be or not
Can
be,
be.
yeah.
And then, if we do see things that need to be changed, you only have a day to do it, so.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
that's why I think it might be good to just concentrate heavily on two of the funds and then two of the other funds the next
Right.
day.
I
That's
like
what I
that,
would
yeah, that'll
Okay.
work.
Okay.
No, we had mentioned that taking a different approach where we sort of divvy up the funds among the council members to focus on. Did you ever conclude what the
So
interest was?
it was either the golf course or anything. So there was
Okay.
no one indicated they had a special interest in the utility department, admin, looking at debt service or any other thing, so.
I do think the administration, you know, in terms of what's going on, you know, here as far as administration is concerned and their needs, do they have everything that they need to do their work efficiently? You know, because that's, to me, has been our big problem, is that we respond to things as they come up, but we don't have them planned, and
Yeah.
that's the only reason, you know, I was thinking of. And it's just people being, I mean, for instance, if someone has not really met or worked with all the people that are, say, in this part of the building, that would be a good thing. And also, right now, I don't know if anybody knows anybody in the utility part of it, because Johnny has always taken the lead, but we do need people, I think, to understand that working, you know, and the people involved, and that was, but that may not work, but I do think by splitting it up and focusing on one day on the other would be helpful.
I agree. So what would you propose, what budgets do you propose that we would focus on first?
Well, probably,
Specific ones or general?
the one that we need the most work on is probably the recreation fund.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'd say we start with that one when we're taking a specific, fund.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's
I agree.
the one that has the most.
Is there?
Variables, yeah.
Yeah, there we've got to look at, you know, there's lots of discussion about rates, you know, membership rates, if we should continue doing punch cards or not. There's the cart fleet, we need to start
Oh, yeah.
getting that, either cycled in
Yeah.
and out or big capital purchase. But yeah, that would be the starting point, I would say, for one of those.
All right, let's say we talk about that at the next meeting, like the fleet, for instance. How do we talk about it when we don't really know what we need? We need someone
Well,
like
I
David
think
here, right?
my understanding is David has given you a cost versus lease on the golf carts?
It was a pros and cons that
Right.
I can pull up. So
But I mean, I had asked him to do it to understand that not just pros and cons, but the cost of it, you know, of what is the cost of us leasing versus us buying, and including the maintenance and stuff on it. And then, you know, I know this is general discussion, but I got another text today from another golfer saying, well, the fairways are in bad shape, but the greens are horrible down, and they are. The greens are almost not playable. And, you know, so we need to understand, I know there's fungus on them, I know they aerated them, but they look terrible.
You
And
wouldn't
they
think so
play
with as much
terrible.
rain as we've
Well,
had.
that's right.
But it's just that and so we need to understand that, plus there's other kinds of things that I've looked at and talked to some other people to get ideas about. So that's the reason, between now and then, we all can come up with what we think might be issues we need to talk about.
Well, the
And
other one is, I guess, capital expenditures like
Yes.
equipment.
Yes.
Mowers, it would seem like
Right.
mowers and dump trucks and
Well,
stuff like that.
I
come up,
understand that
streets-
now they're
Street
asking,
sweepers, all this stuff.
yes, they're asking for another greens mower now. It's $40,000, because one of them broke. We only have one. So, yes, there's a lot of those kinds of things, and I know it's in your
Well, didn't we just
discussion.
buy one last year?
Yeah, but the one we had, I guess they need two, and the other one is
Okay.
The
kaput.
older one bit the dust.
But that's what we need, is that kind of information. And I also brought it up to, if anybody has been into the bathroom on number 15, it is now a hazard zone. And so, and the only thing that can be done is it torn down and
Yeah.
totally rebuilt. So there's more issues, and that's why I think it is gonna take a lot of talk about it, and what do we do about it?
Who else besides David is knowledgeable to get that in?
Johnny is knowledgeable, he said, about the mechanics, in other words, all the equipment, you know, and so from that point of view, he can give us input on all of the machinery.
Yeah.
So that part of it.
And y'all know course conditions, but the resolution of those course conditions has to come from
Well-
someone knowledgeable about that.
Yes, and that's the other thing is, you know, we've talked about trying to set up an independent golf committee to let them do a plan and to research those things. And Brent Fisher was the one that sent me about the condition of the course, and he'd said he would be on that committee, and whenever you form it, thought it'd be a good idea to have him chair it, because and there's several people that said and have him get the people together. And
Well, that's gonna be brought up in the regular schedule
Right, I mean,
meeting next week.
but, so
but-
those are long-term things, but if there's, what I think we have to focus on is this next year, what is things that have to happen?
So if we're meeting in June, not June, the next meeting that we're talking about here, is it
June 23rd,
June 23rd?
22nd, 23rd.
22nd,
We'll confirm
23rd.
that. Sorry, I'll stop jumping around.
Yeah, that's not much time. I was thinking that maybe if we formed the golf course committee, that they could get right to work and meet with David and Johnny and talk about initially what,
Well, I can
Things we need to
ask
invest in.
Brent, you know, because they're ready to do it, I
Mhm.
think. The people I've spoken with were ready, and
if we could get some sort of report by that meeting from them on like what kind of,
they're not gonna have, I don't know if they'd have prices. I don't think they could get
Yeah.
cost evaluation, but,
Yeah, we can call them and get them. I have a preliminary one already for cost per unit, just a range. Oops, I don't know why that's showing up in the middle.
but some of this stuff we're talking about now is what we would discuss in that one, because there's some other issues with all our golf carts and our facility, the golf cart barn.
Yep, and then the greens, we talked to a greens expert who I deferred till at least next year. It'd be $2,000 a month to get him on to come look at our greens and get us an action plan. He'd come out and make sure they're, you know, got the nutrients, all the specialized stuff that is beyond anybody who's done it for 50 years heads. So we were thinking of maybe having him come on board for just the construction project right now while we're moving the greens and the putting or chippings around. But since we're underwater right now, I couldn't get him on board for
No.
this year.
I think, well, they're gonna try the new grass on the putting green.
Oh.
That
Oh, the
San
chip.
Saba is
Okay.
using it.
Yeah.
And if that works, that's what they were gonna suggest to redo all our greens. And, but
Yeah.
again, that's not immediate,
Right.
it's, but those are the kinds of things I think we're looking at.
FYI, we, and I don't know if any of y'all know the other John Aaron
Yeah,
that lives
Yeah.
just 2 doors down from John.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know, and y'all talked to him about, he's kind of a horticulturist, and he worked at Barton Creek for many years as a course superintendent. He knows course maintenance.
well, I think
Just
David
as
has,
another person to work with Brent Fisher,
Yeah,
perhaps, on
yeah.
some of what needs to be done.
yeah, there is somebody like that that David has consulted.
Well, what is, I guess what I'm wondering is, what is the scope? Because I think the scope ought to be well-defined, in other words, including irrigation.
Yes.
Just getting the right nutrients on is all well and good, but if you can't keep it wet,
Right,
that's a problem.
And-
So we,
Problem of we're keeping it wet.
well, right now we are, yeah, but as
yeah.
soon as El Nino leaves,
Yeah,
it'll
right.
be,
He'll go away,
yeah,
won't he?
yeah, that problem.
But
But-
overall, just condition of the greens.
The condition of the greens are really bad right now.
Condition of the fairways.
And
In
the
the summertime,
fairways are-
you don't get a good lie on the
Yeah,
fairway.
they're pretty bad.
It's always, you're always hitting off bare ground.
But part of it, I was told, was lack of manpower. They're down 2 people right now. And, but I'm looking at things like, I mean, there's holes on the golf course, you know, like if you're driving on the cart path, you step off, you have to be very careful. And number 10, which we have to address. And so there are some, I guess that's what we're gonna have to do, is prioritize the really serious things. And, but that also gives us the opportunity to change some of the fee structure and the way the golf course is managed to help fill in that gap of not enough revenue. I mean, it's great that we've got a lot of play, but our profit's horrible,
Yeah.
you know, so that's, I think that's what I've seen so far.
We need action of somebody pulling together that golf committee.
No, not until next week, so we don't have it on the agenda
But-
today.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
But that'll.
that was the idea, was to give them an idea to do it, but there
Right.
are, and the other thing on the golf course are the trees, which are dying, and that's because of the irrigation system, and that's because they need to be severely trimmed. There's so many dead branches on those things, and they get heavy and then they break. So that's another, you know, priority kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Well, I don't know if we are getting this committee to do, hey, these are the things that need to be repaired versus a long-term vision
Yes,
of what we
right.
want. I think, I don't exactly know what the purpose is, if it's a long-term vision or if it's, hey, there's a pothole here, let's
No, I
let's
think the
fill it.
golf, yeah, the golf committee was like a long-term
Yeah.
plan for it.
But I think.
I think the day-to-day stuff, that probably ought to be out of their scope.
No,
in-
Or
yes.
maybe, you know,
Well, they'd note that,
maybe tangentially part of it,
Yeah.
but.
They
yes.
could absolutely point out, hey, these are immediate, low-lying fruit that we can fix
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Let's get them.
So, like, if we're gonna discuss stuff like that at the next meeting, I mean, are we gonna talk about high-level things, items that we need to budget without understanding what the costs are going to be?
No, that's kind of the purpose today, is to get information on what you see as the most important
The most
priorities.
important
So I can
needs,
try to
okay.
get as close to possible cost estimates for them for next time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, like Carolyn mentioned, one of the things that we've talked about for years now is doing a true pruning of all the trees on the golf course.
Okay.
And we need someone to go and evaluate what needs to be done first.
we have a guy, and that's what I wanted to do, was to get him to give us well, he's a guy that, he's done work on our golf course, and he's done work for me, and he's done work for Johnny for years, and to give us a price of what would he charge us to do go to each hole, document what needs to be done on that hole, and then give us a whole overall price. Not that we could do it all at one time, but he could tell us which ones, we may have trees that have to be removed, but a lot of them are trimming desperately, and then one idea might be if he gets the job, that he would reduce the fee because we've paid him a consulting fee. I mean, it's one thought, but I do think that we have to ask that question and see if we could get a number. That would at least tell us, and he's a veteran that has his own business, and he's done, like I said, he's done work out on our golf course and taken dead trees down, and he's reasonable in what he does.
So how do you figure the cost? I mean, how does he figure it? There's always two costs in a contractor's mind. One, if he's got the job immediately.
Yeah.
And the other price is if he's got knows he's got competition.
Right.
If we're talking about the same person, it was half a day and full day prices.
Yeah, he gave us half-day and full-day prices before, but we don't know how much. In other words, he did all my 10 pecan trees, and he was very reasonable. And
I'm not disputing
No,
that.
no, I know, but
I'm just saying there's two
There's two ways of
different
doing it.
definitions of
Yes.
what the cost is.
Right, but the thing is, we don't know, that's what the question is, and can he tell us, how much could you do? Here's a half-day, he may have a half-day, whole day, but I'm just trying to get a cost to pay him like a consultant fee to map
Yeah.
out the
Yeah.
holes that have the trees on them, and to say, what would you need to do for these trees?
And I agree, I'm getting two bids, right, I just got two bids for my own, I had 5 pecan trees on my lot, and they were different price.
Yeah.
And I was happy with one, I was happy with the other. But
Yeah.
I think 2 bids is always a good thing, even for the full scope.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
map it out as a project, even if it's
But-
a multi-year, 4 or 5-year
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
They're
I
to
just-
do that work.
I just didn't know if you can ask several people to give you a scope of work when it's this big. I mean, maybe so.
Oh, you can't.
No, I think you just get one. I mean, it's under 50,000 or whatever it is, the limit
Yeah.
which we have to competitively bid. But the
Yeah.
overall scope may be 50, may push 50,000.
Yeah. But,
There's 150 trees on the common course, John, there, and I'm on that web.
oh, yeah,
And,
uh-huh,
There's actually 150 trees that are comprised just where they're at, on that lower 5 through 9 predominantly.
yeah,
That's where they're at. And that's about 10% of the orchard is what we calculated.
right.
So it's not a small task.
No, no.
No, it's not.
Well, because we have other trees besides the pecans, because we have the
That's just, yeah, you're right.
So that's, we've got the mesquite, and then we've got some other oaks and some stupid pine trees too, and some ash, Arizona ash, and, so.
Yeah, mulberry.
I can definitely get a quote from Worley
Mhm.
on what that would cost. And I'll also get a second and third if I can. If I
Yeah.
can't find them,
Yeah.
you know,
But I think that's what we would
Yeah.
need.
They're all busy right now because of the rains in the fall.
Yeah.
At least with pecan trees, they are. They're busy.
Yeah.
yeah, they are.
But I think that's one of the things we can do is try to get at least an estimate on what needs to be done and what that cost is.
Would I be violating a quorum if I went to get a cup of water?
Nope, not at all. We can,
No, we're good.
we don't have to do any adjournment or anything. We
No.
just won't move forward for a minute.
But,
Well, I think it's a good idea to get some bids, multiple bids, at least 2 for
Yep.
tree trimming, because like Bruce said, they can
oh, yes, but,
vary a lot.
yeah.
But you also need to,
Mhm.
confident, yeah, because you can really injure those trees or kill them if you don't do it right.
And Worley is one
But,
Yeah.
his son, I guess, in Worley.
Yeah.
And I guess what I don't know is the new cart pass, is that in our current budget?
Yeah, that's in our current year is
Our
when that's gonna
current
be
year,
done. Yeah.
okay. So any changes we're gonna make with the cart pass, that's in this year's budget plan.
That's right. So we've got till September to get those done, so they'll be in this fiscal year, so we need to get those, if we don't get them done, then they'll be next year's problem, but the plan right now is to get them ready so that they're for the duration of construction, and then they'll be kind of altered throughout construction as well, but that'll be we'll put up the temporary ones, and as they build the building, eventually it'll have the permanent cart paths around it.
Okay.
Sorry, it took me a while to explain that
Yeah.
properly.
Yeah.
So, I was gonna ask you another question, Will. So, we're kind of hit and miss on some of this stuff. I'm sure you want to go through your data, but what I was gonna ask is, how are we doing on the current year's budget, such that if we got excess, we can start, like we did several times before, we had excess toward the end of the year, and we bought golf carts. So if we, looking like we have excess, but, we need to talk about what type of things we would be interested in doing. I'll just throw out golf carts as one example.
Sure, so utility, this is current year, sorry it's not super large.
Yeah, it's on rec.
Put it on full screen.
There you go, there's the utility, thank you. Display.
Bottom right, I think. Display settings.
Oh, no.
That didn't help.
No.
But is there a view or anything that you could,
There, just,
Yeah, I can zoom in.
okay.
No,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
that
gonna work.
works.
Let me try,
Okay.
maybe I can back it
all
up
right,
so I
let's
didn't.
see, it's all right. So,
I can kind of see.
Yeah, we can
There
see-
you
that
go.
is-
I
that's
can see
good.
the numbers.
So the percentage over here, you can see 66 is where we should be at,
Are
approximately.
these revenues?
Yeah, these are revenues
Okay.
right now, so, sorry, I had these on hand in case you asked, but it's not necessarily part of the presentation. So most of our revenues overall, we're tracking pretty well. We're slightly behind, but not by much at all. Expenses,
Wait a minute, I thought I saw $500,000 behind there.
well, sorry, that's yet to go. We have $500,000 to get this year. So this is for the total year, the percentage we've
Accumulated.
yeah, the revenue we've captured so far is just shy of 66%, which is where we should be.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and of the total year, we have about 65% and 35% left to captures $557,000.
Yeah.
There we go.
I think water will be selling up a little bit better in the summertime when people start.
yes.
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
yards.
we're tracking pretty well to.
Yeah, they
come
should.
If
out
they're doing
ahead.
well now, then I think
Yeah.
it'll do really well in the summer,
And
Yeah.
we can go down to, we can
for the summer.
briefly go through, but most bottom lines are right on where we should be. We're below, that's total employee expenses. I wish I could expand this to make full screen, sorry. We're going down to our total operational expenses. Here's the garbage service, so we're slightly behind our budgeted expense for it, so that's always good. We had a bunch of transfers in and out that we still may need to use, contingent upon necessity. And then finally, so we are budgeted in the utility department to be about $100,000 behind total, so we're $156,000 ahead of the game right now. With the numbers that are on the screen, there will be one thing to remember, or I guess it's off a little bit, is because that insurance, there's $34,700, and I think that's the totality of the insurance that's going to be coming out of this. So we're actually about $120,000 ahead of where we
Okay.
would be if we were right on our budget. So we might have a little bit of extra money in the utility department. Recreation, no, unfortunately. I'll just go to the bottom line, and we can go through.
Just go to the bottom line on,
Yes, sir. So the bottom line
well,
is that we want it to be 26 positive, and we're negative 75 right now.
oh,
And that's better than we were before, but we are about $100,000 behind where we wanted to be. And some key points of that. Payroll. Is high.
It's high.
Uh-huh. And part of that is, it's, you know, $235,000 is a lot of money, but when you're talking one versus two people being on, and the manager has been out a lot, so a lot of that is just, we're paying sick time and have another employee come in. So hopefully that'll be short-lived. That doesn't explain all of it, obviously. The sales, as I mentioned before, I'll go up, well, first I'll stop at the total payroll for groundskeeping is at 75%. In there is an added expense where we got a mechanic, because we absolutely have to have a mechanic, or it cost us 10 times as much. So that was a while ago, but that's one reason that we have any addition there. And looking at the sales, going back up, merchandise sales are good. We're at 86% of where we want to be, but snacks and beverage, that 80,000, we're not going to even
Yeah,
come close,
but-
because that was beer.
Okay, but what I really want to know is the profit on it. What is the profit on the sales? That's
Profit
what,
margin, I can get you that for next.
because that's always been the real problem, is that they always talk about how many rounds of golf and whatever, but it's what's our profit on it? And this, and also the merchandise and the snacks, and, so I think that's one of the things we need to take, because I look at, because if they're not profitable on those things, we need to understand why.
Well, you can look on here, if you've got the revenue from food and beverage.
Yeah,
Well, where's
we-
the expense from food and beverage? Can you change it in the future, like the header, or the column, see how it says October 25 through September 26? Isn't that just year-to-date, fiscal year-to-date?
Yep.
That would be helpful as I'm looking at it.
well,
Is-
was it,
Is that,
what would you have before?
Oh, it was October.
It was year-to-date, October 1st to now.
Okay,
Yeah,
to
so
current,
it is a.
But it said
it's
till
a-
September.
It's a fiscal year, it's fiscal year-to-date.
Fiscal year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's fine.
Okay.
Well, you need to know it's fiscal,
Well, yeah,
not,
you could
not
type
calendar.
that FYTD maybe.
But I'd put an FYTD, so
Yeah.
you know it's fiscal year-to-date, not calendar year-to-date.
Just say fiscal YTD.
Yeah.
Equipment, sorry, trying to get to, I know that's
Food
not
and
correct
beverage
there.
expenses right there, total food and beverage expense.
Yeah, but those, it's a misnomer one. I don't even, that shouldn't be, it's going through inventory purchase, there we go. So we are up, we could do the math right now.
So we bought,
I mean, I can't see.
We
We-
bought $78,000 so far.
we bought 43% more so far
Mhm.
than what we budgeted for. And what does that inventory consist of?
That is hats, shirts,
Shirts,
golf clubs,
golf
balls.
Yeah.
Food and beverage too?
Yeah, food and beverage should also be in
Snacks.
the inventory purchase.
So it's, you're
Well,
talking
no,
about
sorry.
all
It's in-
inventory.
Yeah.
No,
down-
it's not snacks and beverage, they're separate.
They're
Oh,
down
okay.
here. For, that's only, fortunately a little lower, but it's because we're not selling them.
Yeah.
These, David's asked us to go purchase more shirts and get them sold real quick, because they're selling, but I can get you a breakdown of the actual inventories and what's profitable and not.
But I
or
think,
what's more profitable.
you know, because what we really need to look at is the cost, you know, so we can understand if they're losing money in certain areas, and,
So if we budgeted for inventory 55,000, doesn't David have to go by that? Does he not know
That's,
what his
I mean,
budget
that's
is?
the yeah,
Yeah.
that's it, does he or
Should we give
not?
him that? I mean,
Yeah.
should that be reported to
Well,
him so he
there's a
knows?
lot of different little things in there, and it's like, I don't know where, we also budget in there somewhere for buying range balls. And those, we lose those things like crazy,
Yeah.
you know, and, so I've always wanted to really look at from a P&L point of view, of the whole operation of the golf, of the pro shop.
Mhm.
And we've never been able to see it. Same thing with the driving range, you know, we're not making any money on the driving range.
Little chunk of change.
Yeah, but because he gives the balls away, then I don't know if anybody pays for driving range, that's my question.
I do, we do,
Yeah,
we do.
Do
We
you?
pay a monthly fee. If you're a member, you pay,
We've
and you
gotten
wanna add it, you pay a monthly
13,000
fee, or you
from
buy a la
the driving
carte.
range
What?
this year.
On his other play, he just includes it.
Well, yeah, and David explained that at one
I
of the meetings
understand
a
from a
couple years
marketing
ago.
point
Yeah,
of view.
it's basically, we've got a crappy course.
Yeah,
Delaware Springs and Legends and all
Right.
those have a nice course.
you're right.
Everything's in good condition. How are we gonna attract them? Well, give them free range balls, because that's something that doesn't cost us any money.
Yeah,
If they're playing, if they pay to play, then they get free range balls.
Yeah, if they're playing, right.
yeah.
Only if they pay only if they pay.
Well, obviously, we've earned 13,000 in driving range fees
Yeah.
this year to date, so that's something they're collecting.
Mhm.
But what I'm saying is if we need to spend money on the golf course, we may have to find some of these little niches to make some more money in, to be able to do it. And I know this, but just as an aside,
Yeah.
what I was told is in the golf cart barn, we only have 40 charging stations, which means only, and my understanding is they might be able to use some other outlets and stuff, but the maximum that we can charge is 50 golf carts with our current electrical service. So we would have to upgrade the electrical service if we wanted to go to an all-electric fleet.
Really?
Or, I mean, there might be, yeah, if we wanted to do it without any difficulty scheduling, we probably could figure it out so they're on a rotation. You just make sure that 40 of them are, the first 40 out or 50 out are gonna be charged up, and then you pull them out and have the others go,
But that's
it's not optimal.
and that is an issue, so, but anyway, that's something else that's kind of a long-term
Yeah.
look at.
Do they have lithium batteries on those, does anyone know? That last a lot longer
They are, they're
between
lithium
charges?
batteries.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, they're lithium.
Not,
But the problem is that we also have the gas ones, you know, that they,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we have the gas carts, and they don't like them, but
Yeah.
we can't turn them quick enough, you
Yeah.
know, so. But that was the other thing, how quickly can you turn, I guess, the usage of those,
That's right.
so.
Well, that's something I
questions?
think that's gonna have to be addressed with David. I think the golf
Yeah.
course committee will need
Yeah.
to meet with him and talk
Right.
about these things, and
Yeah,
how does that apply to the budget, you know?
You know, we ought to have David here for one of our meetings here, so we could quiz him about all these issues we're talking about now, because he
I don't-
might be able to enlighten us
Yes.
instead of us, you know,
Guessing.
tell us why he can't do this and why
Right.
he can do that.
right.
I think it'd be very, very helpful to us to understand.
Does anybody know when he's supposed to have his surgery?
Is that next week?
Oh,
I think in next week.
Or is that just his appointment? Oh, yeah. It's not for a couple weeks, I don't think, then.
Correct, I think he had to.
Well, so he may not be physically available
is he even,
June the 22nd.
can he even come into work?
He was here today.
He
Yep.
was?
Yep, he's toughing it out.
No, he comes into work now.
Okay.
You know, yeah, he's coming into work. He'll come in the morning, I'll see him. But
I
what I'm,
know, not to speak for him, but with multiple conversations, David's very focused on customer service and having a good time for everybody, which
I
is
know he is.
important. So we might need to be the bad guy and just say, you can't do this anymore. If there's something, you know, because honestly, I've had, talked with him till we're blue in the face about, should we have this or not? And you can say this costs money, or it's costing us money to throw it in for free. But it's, we have so many people come
Well-
because it's free that it's worth it. Or just people are so happy because you can,
But it's also
come and swing.
procedures.
Yeah.
There's some policy in that
So-
having the balls out in the open where anybody can come by and get them, which is what they do,
Yeah.
versus them having them behind the desk. So some of that is a procedural thing, but,
yeah, and we'll just have to,
yeah.
tell them what we want them to do.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of procedures, Carolyn, we're talking about these merchandise, and Johnny's always, ever since I've been on this council, Johnny's just been beating his head against the wall on inventory management on the
Yes.
shirts and stuff. And they do a poor job of documenting what they bought, what it is, each size and
Yes.
stuff like this. So that golf committee that gets set up, I think it ought to not just be the course, I think. it
No,
ought to
it's
be
the whole
procedures-
operations. It's procedures.
On
No,
the
I think-
inventory management too.
I
It
do
needs
too,
to be the
because
whole
that's-
thing, yeah.
Needs to be
I do.
Because that's been a real problem.
Because I think we're passing up an opportunity by lackluster and casual, and management of the inventory.
Yes.
Well,
Putting
just like
everything on
how we've
sale.
exceeded the budget, I mean, I think we need to understand why we spent more in ordering.
Well, I can tell you,
Merchandise
I
and
can
did it.
tell you about from the women's point of view, the golf shirts, is the supplier he uses gives him small, medium, large, extra large. You wanna know how many of the golfers that buy shirts, women, are small? What happens is, an extra small, what happens is, they go on 50% off every year. And so, we have a couple of golfers that are small, and they just make out, they'll just go and buy when it's 50% off. And it's because the supplier he's using requires him to take all the sizes, versus using a supplier that, keeping track of what sizes sell, what size of the men's sell, what size of the women's sell. So that's what you stock, not just every size.
Right.
That I know from experience,
Yeah.
so,
Well,
but anyway.
That can be
That's a good
addressed.
priority, because
Yeah.
you're right, the inventory could be better.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Better,
That's,
more, managed more
Johnny's-
efficiently.
Johnny said, this pretty girl that represents this company is the reason David keeps using it.
oh, so, but I do think that there's all kinds of policies and procedures in the pro shop that we need to look at,
Yeah.
Okay.
that can cost us money or save us money. So we'll let you get back to your
Yeah.
presentations.
So, with the rest of the dates, this goes through October 1st. There are no surprises there. These are pretty close to last year's. And we're fine. I mean, we finished fine last year, but I know we want to get going a little bit earlier and have no last-minute surprises or anything like that.
So, in September 28th is the last day for any kind of hearing on the proposed budget. So the budget needs to be set, so it has to be set before we do our public hearing?
Yeah, so it'll get, on the 24th of August, we got to have it filed with the city secretary.
Okay, that's the part yeah, okay.
And so that's really the target date for us being all wrapped up.
Yeah.
About a month before it actually takes effect.
Do you have you probably do have a sheet that shows what requires a public hearing as far as amount above previous year's spending, or there's
Yeah. So,
The city is under 30,000 population, has de minimis rate that exceeds
Yeah, I think-
3.5 voter approval rate. All the rules of that.
This last sheet in here he gave us what the
Oh, you got
de
it in here,
minimis rate
okay.
was, yeah.
so, and we can, since you brought it up, let's hop there real fast. So we got the tax rates, and these are, just numbers. I'm not saying we should do anything with taxes, but if we kept the exact same rate, I messed it up, I'm sorry. I was trying to zoom in. If we kept the exact same rate, we'll lose a couple tens of thousands in revenue. We get $1,052,000. This current year, it was projected to get $1,100,000. So, yeah, 48,000-ish. And then if we had the maximum rate, which would be at 8%, we're probably to be on the safe side, 7.99.
Yeah.
Is that on our package? Will?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
should be
it's-
in there.
Okay, hang on.
It's the
And then-
page
Because I can
three.
read it better than I
It's,
read
it's
that.
tiny, but it's page three.
Okay.
We'd be getting an additional $36,000 if we went with the maximum amount. And then I go into the details of the special taxing unit. This was, last year was the first time that Meadow Lakes filed as a special taxing unit. It's usually hospitals and, what is it, school districts? So basically, it's, if we have under 2.5 cents per $100 valuation for our maintenance and operations, that's box checked right there for us being able to be a special taxing unit. And then the voter approved, which is, we don't have to have a special meeting, and there's not eligibility for a petition to be filed, which are good that those are there. Those are
Safeguards.
those are safeguards that the state
Right.
put in place to make sure that we can't come and just
Yeah.
raise to an unreasonable level. So this is what the state would determine to be a reasonable level of maximum taxation increase for 1 year.
Hey, Will, how come it's $1,100,025? You got the exact same rates, but higher valuations, presumably.
Actually, no, we're
I think they're
losing about
lower.
4.4% of our valuation this coming year. And I asked Mr. Hempill, the chief appraiser, why, and I was interested whether it was, is that
Well, mine didn't
anticipated,
go down.
homestead exemptions, and he said, no, it's based off of the sale values that they're seeing, that it's
Anything
gone
on the
down by
water
about 4%.
never goes down.
Yeah.
So if that's,
That's interesting. That's the first time that's happened in a long, long time.
Yeah.
yep, so,
And it makes sense, though, unfortunately, it's been, I think, a pretty rough residential real estate market, so.
Well, probably because we went up so high,
Well,
you
it
know.
did. It
that-
is.
And then, so it's gotta
Pull back.
pull back a little bit, yeah, so. All right.
So that's what he said, it's all the valuations on average are 4% lower?
at least in Meadow Lakes. I can
Well, it's-
find our conversation just to us, but,
Yeah.
yeah, the total valuation for next year is 428 million. So it's gone down a little bit.
What was it for this fiscal year?
400
25.
448 million. So we lost 20 million in valuation, or 4%.
Wow.
Okay, so anyways, that's the tax rate. We don't have to do anything with it today.
Yeah.
Just so you know, in the budget I prepared, this preliminary draft, I went with the maximum amount because it would be, like I said, $36,000 additional. Not saying we have to do that, I just, for consistency's sake, I just put that in there so the numbers are the same.
Also,
What would the rate have to be, I wonder, to be at least no new revenue, so that's 1.1 million? Probably a good number to have it.
Yeah, and
Probably.
some of this is a little bit of guesswork too, because we don't have our exact amount. We don't have a certified value. This is just, the 428 is approximately where it'll be. I don't actually have the interest and sinking tax rate amount, because that'll change to give us almost within a 1% difference, the amount that we need to pay off all of our debts that we're obligated to pay that year.
Yeah.
So things will change a little bit. So I didn't calculate the no new revenue, and thankfully, the county will do that for us.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, do we have one line that says the total employee expense from all, like from the 3 different areas? Be curious what percentage of our total budget is is that?
Yeah, so for,
Big.
of the entire operating expenses for the general fund, of which this next, or this budget proposal has 894,000, 535 would be employee-related expenses. The utility fund would be about 50% at 705,000 of 1.4 million, and the recreation fund is about 60% at 613,000 of 983.
And the, I'm sorry, and the utility fund was
705. So here's, on the screens a breakdown for, it's not by department, but it does have, well, it's supposed to have, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah,
The
this.
big one is not, doesn't say how much.
Yeah,
it is.
that's what I just noticed, that it, must have gotten lost in there somehow. I bet it's just covered up, sorry.
because it's
It is on the one
it's
on the
little
side.
one.
You got the little, you got it on the little one there on the side. It's showing.
Yeah. Oh,
Employee-related expenses, 56%.
Yeah,
That's what it
56.
says
Okay.
on this page here, page
Oh,
two.
okay.
Page two.
all right. And then our contract services, that includes fire, EMS, and the,
Fire and EMS.
our deputy, is that contract
I
services?
think that's above is a public safety
Yeah,
expense.
contract services, let me put this back up real fast. Contract services, fire and EMS, public safety,
This is the 140, right?
uh-huh. And in there, for public safety, I have budgeted 12 additional hours per week. We're just
Which
kinda
would-
hopping around, but while we're on it, public safety, right now we have Richard Chofee, throughout the week, and, you know, we've had lots of discussions about it, so I went and, with Garrett's aid, I talked with the, chief deputy,
Alan Trevino.
Alan Trevino, that's right. And so it's $80 an hour, with 4-hour minimum. So if we did 12 hours per week, however we wanted to divvy that up, it would be just shy of $50,000 a
So
year.
what's, I've forgotten, what is our total number of hours we contract for per week right now?
Usually 10.
10.
Mhm.
Okay, so we currently,
We only do 10 hours a week right now.
And that's just through, this is maybe a little bit of a let sleeping dogs lie scenario, not in total, but for Rich, we pay him a little bit less than this amount, considerably less, and we don't pay anything for the vehicle, which the county will have us do $20 an hour. We do pay for the insurance on it, but they just let us use it, or let Rich use it while he comes and works for us.
so they're asking $60, right?
$60 for the officer, 20 for the vehicle.
It's used to be nothing for the vehicle.
Right.
Now, do we have some sort of a contract with them?
We do from 2009.
Is what he said.
So, it's, they're gonna rewrite it. Or we can also, I need to talk with them again, we can also just, there's a file, that you fill out, just like if you wanted one to come to your birthday party and be a guard, that may be the route that they have us go. That's the $80 an hour route. So hopefully we can get a different contract that is a little bit more affordable.
Well, I can understand it being more expensive, like say you're gonna have a wedding venue requires a deputy,
Yeah.
you know, $80 an hour plus the vehicle, but if we're employing them for a lot of hours every single week of the year, then I would think they would be able to give us a better rate.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully I
And-
can
and
work
wait a
on
minute,
them a little bit.
who are they to tell us what to charge? Because this guy's an employee. Technically, he's an employee. They can't tell us what we pay our employees.
What Alan said was they're now, the county is now using a I don't know what you call it, outsourcing coordinator. So anybody that's gonna be, any of their deputies that's going to be working outside of the hours for the county. They're gonna have a coordinator that the guys sign up to say, I want extra hours to work,
Mhm.
you know, and because we've been using Rich, that, and, you know, that he would get us, but they are stating what it's going to be.
That's what I'm saying. Who gives them the authority to state what we pay our employees?
Well,
Well, he's not an employee, I don't
He
think.
dang sure is.
Rich is for us.
Is he looks, okay,
We employ him.
oh, okay,
But, that's why I brought up a little bit of this Let Sleeping Dogs Lie perhaps, because they do have, new rules on total number of hours they can put in. He's not violating any of them, but then the car comes into question, that they may start asking for us to
Yeah.
pay $20 an hour. And if Rich heard that we were paying $80 an hour, he may say, you guys can sign me up through this employment contractor.
Well, but if we're not offering to pay that much per hour, say we only offer to pay 55 an hour total, then they can either take it or leave it, right? I mean, because there may not be any other off-duty opportunities for them to sign up for.
Yeah, and
And
we
it's
need,
consistent. I mean, this is a consistent thing. It's not a
Yeah.
one-off event.
but I think that's something that we have to, if the.
Well, if it's
what
too
the-
much, we can go to Granite Shoals or someone and say,
Yeah.
would you guys like to moonlight down here?
I had a friend who was on the council in Cottonwood Shores and talked to her police chief, and he thought that the $60 an hour was a bargain. So, because I was looking at what's the cost of some of the different, you know, which are outland, that's the reason I asked about the percentage, because it's like, and we used to have a car, you know, we started out, when we first started on this system, I bought the first car
Yeah,
for
we could
$100
always
from the sheriff.
we could explore that option to buy our own car. If they're gonna charge us
Yeah.
$20 an hour per
Yeah.
car.
Well, you know, then you've gotta,
We can lease it. We could lease one from Enterprise or whatever.
and then you have to
Probably
out,
hourly rate would be a lot less. I don't know, maybe it
but
wouldn't.
you'd have to have it outfitted with the siren and all the other stuff,
Yeah.
radio and,
I'm sure you can get one in an auction pretty
Yeah.
cheap.
yeah.
I mean, they just go
But
through
when we
those.
got the first one, you know, they had stripped it, but it was one that the sheriff was taking out of service. That's why he sold it to us for, I think, $100. And then locally, I had, the radio put in, the sirens and the light, you know, that kind of stuff, but.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But again, that's an immediate outlay for us, and we don't have that kind of outlay, so. But if 12 hours, so that's what you figured in with the new budget, is 12 hours at their higher cost,
at $80 an hour.
at
Yep.
$80 an hour,
Would-
so,
we
okay,
could get
so
'em-
that's why you'd put 50 in there, okay.
Yeah, we get them overnight and 4 hours one day every week.
So this is, the 140,000 is what we'd be paying for it, to it,
That is,
for 10 hours a week?
that's in addition to. So that's our current enforcement plus $50,000. So that has our code enforcement, animal enforcement,
Oh, okay.
and traffic enforcement in that number for the
Yeah.
90,000
So it's code,
plus 50
animal,
for nighttime and weekend police officers.
all right, so that's
Yeah.
code, animal, and deputy, okay.
And that's the 140.
That's right. Yep, so.
And that's what you're.
That's what I'm projecting.
Budgeting essentially.
Yeah, it's about a 5% increase from our current cost plus $50,000.
And how many hours were you budgeting that we have off-duty or a deputy patrol?
12 per week.
12 per week.
We're at 10 now.
Well, yeah, we're at around 10, that's Rich Chofee. So
Yeah.
and he comes in, you know, he's just one guy, and he comes in on his spare time when he's not working over there. So it's usually during the week when he has a day off.
But he was talking about doing a second officer, I believe, Alan was.
Yeah, it would, this would just be like an open call for any
Yeah.
sheriff's deputies who wanna sign up.
So 12 hours per week, that's only, and that's, we're talking about 7 days a week?
I would like 1 or 2 days a week. So 12, so if I'm.
On the weekend, one
Yeah.
or two weekends.
My thinking is, every weekend, we could have them come in, you know, if, let's just use the term bad guys, right? We're trying to catch bad guys or hooligans or whoever's around. And if they know that the cop's gonna be there Saturday from 8 AM to 8 PM and then leave, they'll start their shenanigans at 9. So if it's 9 PM to 9 AM, they're gonna know, oh, it's Saturday night, the cop's gonna be here, let's do it tomorrow night. So there is a little more bang for the buck if you don't have full coverage to have consistently inconsistent schedules. So have them start at 12 AM one day and work 8 hours, and then the next week have them start at, 2 PM, or sorry, 2 AM and work 4 hours. Just having some coverage overnight.
How many different days does he come now?
Right now, he usually comes twice a week maybe, and it's less because he has, newborn
All
baby.
right,
Yeah.
so he's been coming like twice a week and doing the 10 hours, so when he comes for a stretch, then, okay.
Usually.
I think we need someone here every single day of the week. Even
Why
just for a couple hours, for a few hours, especially after school, like when, maybe from 3 o'clock till 6 o'clock, we need someone every weekday. And then we need someone in the evenings on Friday night and Saturday night.
Well, at this cost, we don't have, unless we can find some more money, we can't, we don't have that.
Do 12 hours a week?
The budget is 12 hours a week.
Well, and it's a discussion. That's just what I put in
Yeah.
there. So if we wanted 40 hours a week, or, 48, it would be $200,000. Just, that would cover about what you're talking about. And that's a real number. It's maybe more than we can easily bite off and chew this year, but, we do need policing.
Well, I think what we have to look at is, what are the issues that we're trying to control? And obviously, you can't really catch everything, and.
No, you can, but I do think, because like we've talked about, speeding is a big issue. And,
But here's the thing is, twice I did a study on speeding I took all of the data for a year and I graphed it. Because and what I found was, there was I thought what's acceptable is 5 miles over our speed limit. I found such a tiny percentage, I think I must have a study, I presented it to 2 different councils over the years, but it was such a tiny percentage of people that were really speeding beyond 5 miles an hour. And this was data I took for the whole year.
but how do you know that they were speeding though?
From this, I took the data from when we would put up
Radar.
the radar, I couldn't think of what the word was, and of what people were coming in.
Oh, that captures?
Yeah, it captures.
I didn't realize that, okay.
Oh, yeah, it captured all the data, and so that's what I did, was I analyzed it.
I don't think that can be that accurate, because when people see the radar thing, they start slowing down from.
Yeah, but some of them were going 60 miles an hour in
Really?
it. Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
So, I had outliers, but the real question is that, could you really justify, you're not gonna catch them all. And,
Well, I asked Will, I told him that on certain holidays, we need a deputy at night, I think, like 4th of July, we need to have someone. In fact, 4th of July, we're gonna have to have somebody here almost all day because of the,
I don't think we have anybody. We can't find anybody.
Not yet. I'm gonna, try to get them through the sheriff though, with that.
No
form
one
I
was
mentioned
available
earlier.
to work, so.
Are you trying
especially
out
at
other
night.
cities and stuff?
We were trying through the sheriff's department, like Rich isn't available, and, you know, Missy is a constable, can't do it because it's a different organization,
Well, why can't she?
because it's, well, number one, she's out of town.
Oh, well, yeah.
But she said they would have to be, it's a different contract than with the sheriff's department, because.
Could we look at her working more? I don't really understand what she does.
The
honestly.
constable?
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Well, they have to go to all the juries, I mean, you know, like the JP courts.
Okay,
Which I got called to go to, but I got out of it this time, because I'm not in town. But they have to go to all of, I mean, every time the JP court's in session, she's there.
now
You know.
can we contract out with her or with the,
I don't
is it the
know, that's
precinct, I
the,
guess, that,
that's what I don't know, because I don't understand the structure or the difference between them. I just,
just for extra hours if she wanted to work on a Fourth of
Right.
July night, for
yeah.
instance, or
I know
something.
she's not here. We asked her about 4th of July, and she's out of town on that.
But I'm just saying in the future for
Right,
other.
yeah.
But I mean, I don't think she reports to anybody. She's an elected official.
She's an elected
So
official.
she doesn't report to like the county judge or anything,
No, no.
or the sheriff.
No, she is an officer of the court, so I don't think her function would, I'm guessing, I don't know.
So I would think we'd be able to hire her as a,
Well, I
be
brought
able
it up
to
to
deputize
Johnny.
her.
Yeah,
I brought it up to Johnny one time. There's some reason
yeah, I
we
think
couldn't
it's
do it,
just,
and I don't remember what it was.
well, it may be because she is an elected official, so she probably can't do other jobs maybe, but
Find
anyway.
out exactly.
Well, let's find out.
So we'll,
Yeah.
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 but we'll, but I do think it's gonna be, it is a major cost.
Yeah.
'Cause I
Well, it's
talked-
still a lot more affordable than forming our own police department.
Absolutely. I've talked to several of the cities, and what their budget is like, oh. But, so, so do we have any, when you have capital needs, you said the utility department has identified just one equipment replacement?
Okay, we'll go through some of this stuff, yeah.
Okay.
So the utility equipment, a mobile power washer is one item that I can get pricing for.
And that's not in here, right?
Right, that's not in here. I'm just going through some utility equipment that amounts to about $75,000. But the utility equipment, what was it? Skid steer with tracks instead of tires was also on the list. We trade in our current one that's 6 years old, 400 hours on it, and we would get $24,000 off the price of one that's about $60,000, more or less. And then they have a few other odds and ends that you use in the utility department. The golf carts, we went through those a little, or I have them here a little bit. You know, so I don't think that for, I have in our budget $15,000 is what was left over that we could put towards capital purchases like golf carts. I wanted to present a zeroed out budget for the most part. So I didn't put in any major project or major purchases like the golf carts. They also need a new ball picker. There's that thing that goes in front of the tractor, picks up the range balls and everything.
They just bought one a couple of years ago.
And, yeah, and it's kaput. We've held off this year. It had a front tire that's been replaced probably 6 times, and it's, I'm not gonna say they weren't hard on it, but the fact of the matter is it's now broken. So we're trying to find one that, or it's going to break again. They keep putting this front wheel on it, and it's not a great design, because all the weight goes on this one, and it just snaps there
But
every single time.
I thought that was the whole reason we bought a new one, because were using something that really wasn't.
Yeah.
But I think I don't think it was a new one. I think they got one, they want a new one.
Okay,
I
okay.
think so.
All right.
And,
We don't buy new stuff here.
Right, yeah.
And we do have purchased, we need to get it running, a beverage vehicle, a beverage cart. And if we can't get that one going, we'll have to return it to the surplus. We got it from, you know, the Fed surplus, and get a replacement for it. Hopefully we'll have that going pretty quick, but it's one of the requirements that we have it up and going within, I think it's can't remember if it's 1 year or 2, that we make the repairs and then it gets a second life. So that's one thing David mentioned to me is that, I asked him, what's on your wish list? And he said, better golf cart for bringing drinks around.
So we have that golf cart already?
We
Yeah.
purchased it
I didn't realize we had.
maybe
Yeah, we got
9
one.
months ago, and it's on the to-do fix-up list right now. It was just a couple $100, but it's like one of those white bubble-looking ones.
Mhm.
Is it out there?
That might be
in
it.
that
I think we have
storage yard by the-
two of those particular carts, but yeah, it's probably just out behind us right now.
And what all
Maybe.
needs to be fixed on it?
I don't remember the
Yeah.
specifics. I think there was something where it had a problem with its accelerator.
So
So it
it's
would cut
actual
out.
mechanical?
Yeah. Vanessa, you rode on that once, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Did it
It
fling you forward or
It
backwards?
did forward, and then it would just completely stop, so I had to push Debbie up here.
Oh, gosh.
So she could steer.
So that's about all the major equipment there. Some other things I wanted to bring up tonight. Storm sirens, we should be done, but that's a possible project. We only have 4 months to the closeout of the year. So if we don't get it done and everything paid by the end of the year, it would go on to next year's. So want to get that finished up and paid, and
Yeah,
it
we
should be
should,
done. Yeah,
right.
unless something really
Yeah.
gets
But if
lost in
it's
the
not
mail.
completed, that frees up $60,000 for this other stuff here, though.
That's true,
This
that's true.
year.
Uh,
We can do it on this year's.
Yeah.
Yep, I went through those are just the basic prices, without getting too much specifics for golf carts. Probably would be a little reduced if we bought almost 80 of them at a
Fleet,
time,
yeah.
but increased policing, we've been through that. Utility rates, this current budget, or this budget proposal has a 2% increase reflected in the revenue. And that's not to twist the city council's arms to say we need to do it. If we don't want to, then you absolutely don't have to, but usually utility rates do go up over time, and that's just,
Did we increase the utility rate last year?
no.
When was the last time that we increased the utility rate?
I need to look, maybe 2024, do you know, Vanessa? Does that sound right? It was before I got here.
That was last year.
Oh, we did?
Yes, from last year before Will, we did increase it.
Okay.
I think I recall that because it had not been increased for some time before then. So we
Well,
thought it.
When I came on to the council, yeah, that was in 2020. I came into the budget meetings to listen to them and so forth. And what they said was they were gonna increase, I think, water 10%, 10 cents, and sewer 5 cents. And then we were making all sorts of good money and so forth, so we backed off half of the 10% rate a couple of years later. We did a fairly huge increase, and that was basically to pay for the restaurant, which was losing money hand over foot.
Yeah.
So that's something we should talk
We need to
about.
go back again to pay for the money we're losing in the
Right.
recreation fund again.
Right.
Yeah, I agree,
'Cause
but.
I hate to increase taxes.
Yeah.
Right, but if utilities, then that would be one way of,
And some other talking points or things to talk about, I guess, for the utility rates. We have the limb pickup, and right now we're talking with Waste Management. It's in their contract with the city that every resident gets every other week with their bulk pickup, they can throw their bundled leaves or bundled sticks out there. And, they really haven't been taking care of that because haven't been utilizing that because
Well,
the city's been taking care of that.
what's always the hard part to control is you tell people what size of, they're supposed to put out there, and they just put everything out
Yeah.
there.
And they
Yeah.
don't bundle it.
They don't bundle
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
and then it
it's
sits
bundled.
out there, and
No one
it's,
bundles anymore.
But we're meeting, Johnny and I are meeting with Waste Management, I think this Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because
will
our-
they, will it be an increase for adding that as an extra?
it probably would be for more frequent if they want to do it every week. And then also our contract with them is up in next year. So we got 1 year left. So this coming year, we probably should take a look around, do our due diligence to make sure we're getting the best rate.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure what it'll go up by next year.
The contracts with EMS and fire, we're still in a multi-year.
I think we got 2 years, this was the first year of both of those, if I remember right, and they're 3-year contracts.
And there's an automatic escalator in it, I think.
Yep, and it goes up.
3% or 5%
Yeah.
or something.
Yep.
Okay.
And then talking with employees, 2 other are health-related benefits that have been brought up to me. One is coverage for dependents. The city pays 0% coverage for dependents right now, and then a health savings account or something, akin to that, where if you need to go to the doctor, it's got your, maybe there's a city match of, you put in 1% or $10, and we put in $10, something like that. But those are just 2 other.
That's what we have now, or that's what we're proposing?
That's been
Asked.
asked by employees, because we don't have either of those right now.
Okay.
And those are not in this budget, those 2 things.
Because, one of the things we're gonna need really from David is the condition of the golf carts. Are there some that are just particularly, are some of them ready to be, ditched? I mean, I don't know what the condition is and the life expectancy. I guess if they're still running and they're gas, and the lithium-ion battery should be fine, it's just that, I know they've gotten pretty beaten up, but there may not be anything we can do unless we can keep them cleaner, and get them in the cart barn and not outside, and try to leave them in the cart barn and only pull a few outside so that they don't sit out in the weather, which is, I think again, is another policy kind of thing to look at.
Yep, trade-in value.
So what else do we need to go through as we're
Really,
past the 1 hour mark?
Yeah, so we've covered just about everything that I wanted to make sure we covered tonight. We've gone over this preliminary budget of, with minor raises in some fields, like utility rates. It has an example tax rate on there, but we're not in dire straits for being able to get revenue. We'd be difference of $19,000 less overall, and when you compare that with the expenses, where we'd be spending less, but ending up with $108,000 overall buffer, that's a pretty good spot to be in. So we don't need to talk about this anymore. We've talked about some of the goals,
Yeah.
Better inventory. I guess,
Yeah.
Are there any questions or anything we haven't talked about?
Yeah,
that
the
you-
only thing I had a question about was, we always come up with an automatic increase, but, some of it is, how does that compare with, cities our size? And I know it has to do somewhat with, we do the longevity, we want to keep them, but, there is a point at which sometimes then some of the salaries get pretty high for what the job is.
Yeah,
I mean, I know in some, not in our city, but in other cities, they've told me that.
I can.
So, I mean, something just for comparison, because I don't have any feeling for that.
That is a good reminder. And last year, I did not provide a wage comparison survey for other cities, but I have looked at it for individual employees when, we're hiring or whatever, so I'll get a wage comparison.
I mean, maybe that's what it is, or it's not enough, I just don't know, but I always like to have some data to make a decision on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And regarding utilities, I'd like to know, when we get into that, what we've done, and I heard some discussion, we haven't made a raise from in 2024, and then, or whatever, but what about, consumer price index inflation? I mean, this year, like 3.6%.
Yeah.
We have to factor that in
Yeah,
entity.
yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying, is that, you shouldn't just make an overall, it's a flat thing, kind of thing, that's all.
For, yeah, yep, that'd be lazy. Inattentive, we just said, across the board, we're
Yeah.
going 6% or 2% or whatever.
I had one question.
Sure.
On page one, your not bar graph, your pie chart,
Mhm.
you show ad valorem taxes as 1.136 million, 1.137 actually. And then on the page three, the same rate, what you're saying here, the same rate, we're only getting 1.052, and we're at 1.1. So we're at 1.1 in 2025, and we're going to go to 1.136.
That's the
How do you get-
maximum he's projecting.
Yeah, so, let me grab the little.
He's saying we're gonna use the total maximum tax
Oh.
rate
If we were to use the total maximum.
Yeah, so.
without triggering a
Yeah, this.
election.
So yeah, the first highlighted row, that's this current year, that's our current tax rate.
That's what I'm referring to, 1.1
Then the
million.
2026 exact tax rate, that's if we applied this year's to next.
Yeah.
And then the 2026 maximum, that's going up by about 7.99% on the overall rate.
Wow.
Which is, from where it was last time, which is the highest we could do. And that's the figure I put for the ad valorem in the budget. So that does have, we were talking earlier about how that's, the guardrails allow the city
Yeah,
council
yeah.
to do that without any stringent input from the community. Obviously,
It does require a vote.
it
Right.
doesn't
Yeah.
require a special
Yeah.
vote, but we still have to have hearings and
Yeah.
make sure everybody's aware of what's going on, that they can get their say.
We've always been able to do it with a little bit less tax rate, but still more revenue because of valuations. This is
Yeah. That's because our
This
valuations.
is an interesting deal where we
Yeah.
got,
And
hey.
there
guys,
is actually one thing that I forgot to bring up, and that's been about a year, but the 2% sales tax is also an option for additional revenue. It may help defray.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's
Burden on
something we need to
individuals, but-
really look at.
That's probably a good idea to look at. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we brought it up at a meeting, 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah, I mean,
Everyone said
somebody's
that.
getting it because we're getting charged it.
Sometimes.
No, we're
Sometimes
not always,
not.
if you order on Amazon, you don't get
Amazon does
charged it.
not. Amazon gives us 1.02625.
Yeah, so that's at least something I didn't want to leave here without bringing up, that I'm not
Yeah.
saying let's raise taxes as high as we possibly can legally, but if we're looking for revenue sources, there's somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000 of sales tax available, should we want to capture it.
And those kind of entities, Amazon would be one, but also our own recreational
Yes,
Yeah.
they would, and
merchandise.
I do know that
hobbies,
they
And,
are reluctant to charge, but,
Sure.
but
Golf fees would be that, would that be
should be, but
included?
they, here's the other thing we've got to do on the golf. I think there must be at least 15 different categories of membership. That I think, we have
Yeah.
got to simplify it, and because it's a mishmash of what people are paying, and I think, we need to take a look at that and understand punch cards and simplify the membership, so that we understand that we are getting the maximum out of it.
I agree. They're, right now, looking at graph or a chart of it, it does get really confusing really quick, because there's,
Oh, I
like you said,
tried looking
there's
at it, he
15
gave it to
different
me, I
kinds,
thought, oh, I have no idea that there were many.
And I'm sure we can figure where they came from, is, we changed plans and someone said, well, I was guaranteed I'd get this
And
price
it-
forever.
Well, it was over the years, they did special things, and then there'll still be a couple of people that still do it, and whatever, and, but it's just, and it doesn't match our ordinance either. That's what I was trying to do last
Oh,
year, because
yeah.
that's what brought the subject up. Because I looked at our ordinance, and then I looked at what he's charging, and they don't match.
There's, I
Our
There
ordinance,
is.
we put the prices in the ordinance, which reminds me, that's one of the things we have to do is go through.
Do we need to update that every year, the prices and the
Just when we
ordinances?
change it, I think.
Just when we change it, but right now, they don't match. But we just kind of ignored it,
That needs
but,
to be
but there are
updated.
things that we need to kind of clean up a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
I'll check on that tomorrow. It should have been updated online with this codification project.
Well, I haven't looked at online with the codification,
double
what
check
it
on that.
shows, I just know what it
But,
was before, but I'll.
It
have
would be prudent to either have it automatically change or to revisit it every year, because,
Yeah,
you know, naturally, nothing stays the same for a year.
right.
Is that available to us to look at now?
It's
on the
online now.
Oh,
website?
yeah, it's on.
Yeah, it's online now.
I haven't done it, so.
I have, since it went live, I looked at it right before, but I haven't gone in and done the, but we should be able to go on our website, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then-
I'm on it now. I don't know. I'd have to, you can search any word. You can search golf, which is great, but I don't know exactly how to find where the golf rate is. Is it,
There is an ordinance, so,
I'll have to do some searching on it, but it
Yeah.
is online. It is nice to go through, because I actually used that when I made the post about the, what vehicles are street legal and what are not.
yeah.
It's all in there.
Yeah, that was I'd like your,
Yeah, you need to, that would be nice.
it was good information. Not that anybody pays attention to it, but,
Well, I don't know, maybe so. I've had a lot of people tell me that they,
I mean, yes, let's hope,
Appreciated
let's hope they do.
and,
It was well written, you know, I saw you borrowed, you know, Burnett's.
I borrowed their chart. They probably borrowed it from someone else as well. Yeah, it was helpful. It's helpful. I like I like images because, you know, that it's so hard. There's all kinds of bikes out these days. And, but I hope that clarified some things, so. All right, well, is that it? Everything you've got, Will, for today?
Everything I got, yep.
All right, I move we adjourn the meeting.
Okay, so Carolyn moves, we adjourn the meeting, and Councilman Johnson approves, or seconds. All in favor? This meeting's adjourned.
All right, thank you for your time, everybody.
22nd and 23rd, but we're gonna take 2 parts one night, 2 parts the other night.
Sounds like it.
That's the plan.
Good, thanks, Will.
You bet, thank you.
What would we do with it, because recreation's gonna take forever, so what would we do, need to do an easy recreation, not general fund with it.
Okay, we'll go over debt service.